Exercise 2, FreeCAD 0.19. In this exercise, we take a look at the functionality built into FreeCAD to make a parametric wheel of sorts. It looks kind of like a turbine spin wheel or some sort, but it's really not. It's just a very simple part using revolves and then some patterning. So let's begin. Start a new part, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to move this over here so you can see this better. I'm going to click right over here on Create New Body. And make sure you're in the part design area just to be on the safe side. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and click on Sketch. And we're going to select the XZ plane and hit OK. Now to begin with, we're going to draw with the polygon line right here. I'm sorry, polyline, not polygon line. Go ahead and select that. Now infer a bit of a distance to the left of the origin, which is at the center of the crosshairs, but align yourself to that line that you see. It's highlighting right now, mine yellow. Go ahead and click when you have that. Drag it straight up, and with the feedback that you're getting, around 16 or 17 is fine. And make sure you get the little vertical line to the right of the pointer. And that indicates that it's going to align vertically. Click. Now drag to the left, and we're going to make sure we get the horizontal line. And this is just a short distance. And go ahead and click when you get that. Now drag at an angle down here. Don't touch that red line or the pink line down there. Just hover a little bit above it. Click. Drag it to the left. And now we're looking for a horizontal line again. And we're just eyeballing it currently. And then just drag this straight up a little bit higher than that other one. And again, make sure you get the little vertical line to the right of your pointer. That's an automatic relation. And then over here, make sure you drag this a short distance to the left. And be sure to get the horizontal line to the right of your pointer. Drag down. And now you're looking for two entities. You're looking for the line below there to turn yellow, as well as a vertical line. So it's adding coincident and vertical to the geometry. Click. And now you could go ahead and you could right click and it will end the line chain. You could also hit escape. Now, just as a side note, if you hit escape, and many people have a tendency to hit it twice, in this software, it actually takes you or exits you out of the sketch tool. So you want to make sure you go to the model tab over here. And to re-enter it, you just right-click on that sketch and click on Edit Sketch. And it should return you to your original settings. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and mirror this across. We could actually add the dimensions first and then mirror it, or we could add them now. I'm going to go ahead and mirror it first. So the way that you do that is you could go ahead and click and drag a fence to surround the geometry. And now hold the Control key and select this horizontal line so it turns yellow. And click. Now you could release Control. Now what we're looking for is the mirror tool, and that's right over here. Now it creates a symmetric geometry, but it does not actually bring over all of the information. Like it's not really truly parametric, so we're going to have to add that. So go ahead and click. Now you'll see it did bring over horizontals and verticals, which is great. But now we have to add those others manually, because watch what happens if we grab this and we click, we get that sort of behavior. Now Control and Z on your keyboard will undo that. You could also hit the undo button over here. All right, but another thing we want to do, I would recommend deleting this and this line here. There is an extend command, but I've found it's been a little bit tricky, and it just doesn't work as well as I'd like. I still have to master it, so I'm not using it right here. So click here and make sure those points turn yellow as you click. And one consistent line is best in this case. Hit escape one time. Let's go ahead and do that over here too. Click on these, hit delete. Okay, now what happened there, when this comes up, that means there's some sort of error that occurs. So hit Control Z if that happens to you. And then you could close this to minimize it. Click and hit delete. Let's try that again with the line tool and just close that all the way across. Now I'm going to hit escape, and what I want to do is add symmetric relationships, so when I drag this, that they moves equally on both sides of that horizontal line. And the way you could do this, and there are limitations here. What you have to do, you have to hold Control and select the 2 points and then the line. Now, you can't select the lines or multiple entities to do this, as far as I can tell. You're restricted to just one at a time. So these 2 points, we want to make those symmetric. We selected those and we held Control and we selected this. And now you'll see right here is a symmetric tool. And you see those little arrows that pop up to indicate symmetry. Let's go ahead and try that again. Select this, Control select this line, and then this point. Symmetric. Let's do it here too. Select this, this, and that. And I know you're thinking, wow, that's time consuming. Most other CAD systems can handle that automatically. And yes, they do. I'm assuming this is only version 0.19, that one day that it will be in there. Now, just as a side note, and you could fast forward if you don't want to watch all these as I talk a little bit. As I've done some more research on this software, it's rather fascinating. It dates back to the 70s, actually, and it was developed. It's a product called Euclid. At least the core of it was, and also it has some relation to SGI too. The interface does, which is fascinating. That's what Open Inventor is all about. So it has some interesting roots that date back into the 70s and 80s and 90s. In fact, if you click over here where we have CAD, for the interface settings, there's Open Inventor as well. Open Inventor is actually the tool that was developed by SGI, or Silicon Graphics. Some of you might know them from the Nintendo 64. They actually helped development they had worked on the development with Nintendo to make that. So pretty interesting stuff. Oops, okay, I must have hit that wrong. Let me try that again. Okay, maybe it doesn't need that apparently, but one of the things that we'll start to see is that the geometry will change color as we fully constrain it. Do you have to do this? No, you don't have to. If you want, though, to make it actually parametric where you could easily change it, then this is a way of doing it. And when it comes to design, things change all the time. All right, let's go over here to the dimension tool. And the first thing I'm going to do is click on this line here. And that's going to be 2 inches in length. And you'll see it will span across all by itself. Now I'm going to go ahead and select this point to that line. And that's going to be 0.25. Wow, I had that like really close. Okay, and then this one right here, it's going to be 0.4. And from here to this, oops, cancel that. From this point to this line is going to be 0.375. And then we'll go to the angle tool here. Oh, I'm sorry, that's an angle. Right here. Angle dimension. Select this line and make that 18. And sometimes it's floating way up there. You can see it. All right, and then we'll actually let's add another dimension right here. And that's going to be 0.25. And then from this point to this point, and that's going to be 2.5. And if you're wondering where I'm getting all this information, I'm going to hit escape here and show you in a second. These dimensions can be found in a training guide that I'm currently writing for this software. And let me show you where that is. Okay, we're not quite done yet, but let me show you here. All right, what you want to do is you want to go to VERTAN as in Nancy UX1, and you could go to the web page for Vertani1, and let's bring this down, and over here you'll see instructional manuals, and these are training guides that I've developed for other systems, and some are works in progress. FreeCAD right there, and you'll see I've started on this, and it says it's a preliminary copy, so be aware you're really using it just as notes at this point, because it's based off of other CAD systems currently. Like you'll see here, I've started in on it. I've developed a syllabus, so if I ever want, or someone wants to teach this as a class, who could actually get college credit for it once it's completed, you'll see the points, totals, and then you'll see, like for example, introduction to the FreeCAD interface, and it talks about the left, right, center buttons and things like that, the options menu, how you could set your units, and all those fun things. All right, and finally getting to the lessons. Those of you who might have watched exercise 1, this is how it starts off. It shows you the plan, what you're going to build for exercise 1, and it's incomplete though, be aware. I hope to have it done. Now here on page 26, 25, 26, you could actually see where I start to go into some of the details, and then you can see the dimensions that I'm using for this geometry. And so let's see, we have just one more 1 inch that we have to put in. Now if you're wondering where, also on these dimensions, if I wanted to show this to you, because in exercise 1 I couldn't figure out why I kept getting thou instead of inches, and I was putting in the little quotes and putting those dimensions in, and here's where you can do that. If you go to Edit Preferences and go to Units, select, I had US Customary, which we deal in thousands. It's interesting in manufacturing, we do use thousands to describe things, but really I guess the companies I worked at, typically we do imperial decimal. So that's what I use to get the little the inches that for what I'm familiar with using. Okay, so you could change that. Okay, going back to this though, now we need to add a couple more dimensions. Let's go over here to the dimension here. So this point here to this point, and that will be 1 inch. And notice the color transformation, it's fully defined. And I'm going to hit escape one time. All right, so we are ready to revolve this now. So we could, at this point, go to the close right here. And we could go to the revolve tool right up here. And it should revolve around, by default, this the x-axis. But you could change that if you go in here and you can alter that. You could also have it less than 360 if you want to make like a Pac-Man. We're going to keep at 360 and hit OK. All right, so there we have our solid of our wheel. Now Shift and the right mouse button rotates so you can see both sides. Let's add some enhancements to this. Now we're going to use fillets again. We learned how to use fillets. Now here's something fascinating about the software that I discovered. Out of the 15 CAD softwares that I've made videos for, and I've learned, because I've been using CAD since 1986. I started using actually Apple II ECAD, but really the real CAD system was AutoCAD 2.5, if I'm correct. Anyhow, only two other CAD systems could do what this can do. You could actually add fillets on an entire face, which is really a time saver. So go over here to the fillet tool. Oh, you have to pre-select in this. Select this face and shift and roll to the other side. And hold Control then and select that face. Now I'm going to go back to asymmetric and go to zoom to fit. There are fast keys for these too. All right, now that we have that, we could go to the fillet tool, and it's at 39 thousandths. So we're going to go ahead and 0.1. You might get that little joke there because in exercise 1, I kept getting thou instead of the inches. All right, and see, it put the blends or the fillets on both sides. So essentially the topology, anything on that surface, any edge gets filleted, which is really pretty cool, because I thought that was restricted to just a couple CAD systems. Like SolidWorks can do it, and another package called FreeCAD. But anyhow, let's go to select this edge. Now, selecting edges is not always that easy. Sometimes you have to move up really close and super precise. It's like playing darts here. Make sure the very tip of your pointer is on that edge. And then we'll roll it around, shift and the right mouse button. Oops. Get that edge. I've got to scroll up to it. There we go. Oh, and I forgot to hold control. All right. Let's try that again over here. Hold control. Click when you got that edge. All right, now we could go to fillet. We're going to put a big one in on here, so let's go with 0.5, so a ½ inch. And isometric. Okay, now we'll do this face here. And selecting faces is a lot easier, actually, but I love that it does that. That's, to me, is just such a nice little enhancement. Hold control, select this. Let's go back to fillet. And for this one, we're going to go with 0.25. And then select this face here. And we'll just we'll leave it actually 0.032. All right. Now we'll go back to isometric and zoom to fit. Okay, now here's where I started to add ribs, and this is where the lesson ends. If you want to just stop right here, that's fine. I want to show you how to put those blades in and then do some cool stuff with them. So for that, what's really fascinating about this is that hit the little arrow to the left of origin here, and let's go ahead and select our, let's see, in this case, I believe we want the XY plane. And now let's go to the sketch tool right up here, start sketch. There we go, and it goes right to the top. So that was our top plane that we basically selected. Also, go to view, draw style, and set it to wireframe so we can see through the part. Now I'm going to zoom up a little bit here, and I'm going to select, let's see, we'll go with the rectangle tool and click and drag a rectangle just like that. Right about there. I didn't give it any dimensions yet. Let's give some dimensions. Okay, we're going to make it let's make 1.8. That sounds good. And then select this one right here, and that'll be 0.125. And now take the line tool, and you can't find the midpoints, and that's a limitation as far as I could tell. If someone knows how to select a midpoint, by all means do it. I wouldn't doubt it's in there, but I wasn't able to find it. But click, oops, oh, I need to go to the line. There we go. I'll draw that down. Make sure you get the vertical line to the right of it. Now, some might want to add a dimension of, half of 0.125, but here's something better. I'm going to just hit escape. Go to hold control and select that point, this line, and that point. And we use symmetric. Okay, and it did something bizarro there. I'm going to control Z that. Maybe it already has to be in position first when I did this earlier. Let's go with the dimension tool here. Select that point to that point. And now here, if you don't know how to do that in your head, what's half of 0.125, you can do this. You get 0.125, and there's a calculator built in. This, again, is really cool. Divided by 2. 0.0625. All right, now let's try that little trick again. I'm going to hit escape and select this point. Hold control, select that line. Oops, didn't do it. There we go, on that point. Holding control, symmetric. Okay, the dimension disappeared. which is really pretty cool. And now what you're going to see here is I'm going to go ahead and let's go with coincident. Select that little point at the end of that line to this point, and it will center it for us. And now let's add one more dimension on that line there. And I want you to put in 0.5. Okay, and that should position it so that it's in the center there of our geometry. And let's go to isometric now. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this out in both directions. So we go to pad. So we have to hit close here. And let's actually go back to view, drawing style, and as is. And V1 is the actual fast key for that, just so you know. All right, so we have the geometry. We're out of here. We're ready to go to pad. And you can see the rib right there. But instead of dimension, go symmetric to plane. And we'll keep it actually on dimension. And let's make it let's try 1.375. Okay, that looks pretty good. Shift and rotate. You see the geometry there, and it's on both sides. Now we could pattern that. So if you go ahead and scroll down here and select the pad, and now over here we have polar pattern or array, whatever you want to call it. Select that, and you'll see instantly it's really pretty cool. It automatically defaults to the z-axis for this. Makes it really easy for us. Now here's the number of occurrences or instances. Just increase it, and you can put as many as you like. Just don't put too many, as it gets cluttered pretty quick. Let's put in 10 is just too many. Maybe 8. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. All right, now what we're going to do is have a little more fun with this. Let's go, and this time select the XZ plane and start sketch. And we could go to view, drawing style, wireframe. We're going to go ahead and use the circle tool here, and right over here just eyeball this to where it looks like it's on the end and have it intersect a little bit. Click, and then right about there we're just eyeballing it. We want a nice cutout here, and then hit escape and we'll mirror that across. So click here, hold control, click here, and we could go to the mirror tool. All right, now what we're going to do is we'll make these two, oops, hold control, select that one and this one, and we'll make those equal. And right here, equal relations. So if we change the dimension on one, let's go over here. Oh, that's a radius. I didn't want a radius, I want a diameter. And we'll make that 1 inch. All right, and then let's add one for this, and this will be 1.25. And now this is where it gets fun. Let's go to view, drawing style, and as is. And let's take it to isometric. All right, now go to close. And we are going to go to the remove. Remember the blue and red are to remove material typically. So groove. All right, and hit OK. And so you can see it's really made what looks like a pretty cool, complex part, at least in my opinion. One let's go to isometric again and give it perspective. And then there we go. Now again, if you'd like to change colors and things like that, you can go over here, right click on the groove and set colors. And I'm going to select that face there. Hold Control, maybe select that face. I could select that ring. We'll give it some enhanced appearances here. And then hit OK. All right, and that concludes exercise 2.